Hello and welcome to the second game between AKA and Imphenzia. AKA, spoiler alert, won the first game. So we're playing best of 3 and this is the second game, and we have a small loser's advantage by having that the loser can pick the second seed. So it's Imphenzia who has picked this seed. So yeah, maybe a slight advantage there. If AKA wins this game, then he will move on in the winners bracket. But if Imphenzia manages to beat AKA, then they will have to fight it off in a third game. And I'm trying to stay neutral here, but I'm kind of hoping that Imphenzia can challenge AKA a bit, because he haven't lost a single game yet. So yeah, we can't have just one just steamrolling the whole player base. That's not fun, is it? Well, maybe he will. We'll see. We'll see. There's still a lot of good players left that AKA has not played just yet. And Imphenzia is starting up north. AKA down here. He's going for that immediate town. Imphenzia could go for this town, but it's fairly vulnerable. Puts down 2 factories. AKA builds a town, some air, and a lot of commandos, it seems. So he will probably go here and here as fast as possible. Yeah, there it is. Imphenzia is also going for air. And that's a factory with SAMs, clearly. So he knows the risk of air from Imphenzia. Imphenzia is putting down probably for transport boats. He wants this trade. There's 1, 2, 3 trades. Oops, I just realized I have it on speed up. So Imphenzia really, if he can manage to kind of gain control of this, he can get 3 trades here and 1 trade here. If he can also gain control of this, even if he maybe, let's say he cuts off AK here, he would have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 plus 3. That's a tough math question for me. So I have to count instead of just putting 3 and 3 together. I hope you'll understand that. So I think this is good for Imphenzia, because it would be okay for Imphenzia that AK gets this, as long as Imphenzia can keep the front line here. And that should be fairly doable with a few artillery, and he's building a lot of artillery and some SAMs. AK is also building helis, and he also knows the importance of artillery in these chokes. So he puts down another factory here. Let's take a quick look at the eco. Almost 500 for AKA, 400 for Imphenzia. That's because AKA put down this town and 2 industries. Imphenzia is building helis on the other hand. So he will have a good advantage here. He might even be able to get rid of all these infantries and keep AK from getting this land. And it looks like he got the helis on that task. which would be great, because if he decides to go for these trades, then it would be safer for Imphenzia if AK cannot build subs at various places here. So that's definitely a good reason for Imphenzia to fight for this land. And there Imphenzia puts down his gas. AK is yet to put down any gas. I think he only has this one, which is why this could be important for AK as well. So another good reason for Imphenzia. If Imphenzia can keep this from falling into AK's territory, and this as well, then AK is limited to one gas, which will of course mean a lot to Imphenzia. He will know that they won't suddenly show up with, or AK will not suddenly show up with 15 planes or huge navy or anything like that, because he would not be able to run it. It's looking good for Imphenzia here. And he's just keep going at it with the helis. Cannot spot the infantry right now. But AK is putting down 2 barracks here, and that can really make the difference of who will gain control of this land. I was just about to say Imphenzia has to stop producing units here, and he does, and he even destroys the shipyard. Imphenzia's biggest concern right now is eco. He didn't build any eco from the start, so he's behind. And that means that AK will have an eco upper hand on this part of the map, and might be able to just overrun Imphenzia. And my bet is he will move his helis over here and then over here, and that would be tough for Imphenzia. Imphenzia is still looking for those units, and AK, I don't know if this is an attempt to kind of keep pushing. Could be. But AK also has a few options with those commandos. Unfortunately, the range button display still doesn't work, but he could, I think his transport jets can probably reach like up here or something. So he could definitely make a jump on this gas. Imphenzia does not see anything, of course, and the other way is true as well. But Imphenzia should know by experience that AK will heavily contest this. So he needs more than just one barracks. And he has the money. Just put down a town, okay. And AKA is actually moving his helis over here. Imphenzia really needs to put more investments into this part. I wonder if we'll get to see some sneaky commandos from AK. They could land here, of course, as I already said, but they can also move up and snipe the airfield or go for the various towns. And this is a factory, probably to build some SAMs as well, at least, because he knows Imphenzia has helis. This is looking good for Imphenzia. I wonder if he caught up with the eco. 630, 670, so it's not much. It's not a big lead that AK has. Imphenzia puts down some defense at his gas here, starting to cap this island to get the trades. Still can't see AK. AK now sees Imphenzia. And Imphenzia needs to invest this money over here now. Otherwise it will definitely be too late. Because he's doing just fine here. And I'm not sure why, but he's sending his helis here. I don't know if it's to check for the town or for any navy. But he has so much money now. And he puts down the producer over here. And I think this might end up costing Imphenzia the game. Well, that's a bit early to say. But I think this part is very, very important. And Imphenzia is moving his helis, but AK is on top. He really starts to produce SAMs and only SAMs because he knows the helis can get there. And AK has just had enough units to keep Imphenzia from making the entrenchment here. Because if Imphenzia could have blocked off here, that would really have cut off AK, but he just can't seem to push AK far enough back. So now AK can start to send more units down here and get that valuable gas. And now Imphenzia is putting down barracks, but I'm afraid it might be too late. And AK can see all of it, and he puts down another barracks. And this will be so important for AK to cap, because it will open up gas for him, and it will mean that he knows Imphenzia do not have this trade, and he can of course build his own town and eco. And with this gas it would also be easy for AK to put down a sub or anything, air, to attack a potential trade up here. 2 helis has arrived, but there's a ton of helis coming from AK, and AK already has 3 SAMs. Sorry, that's not 2, that's 3 helis. AK's biggest issue right now is gas. So I think that's why he really pushes for gaining control over this or this. And Imphenzia will probably regret this command, think all of his helis might go down now. Oh. He does cancel it, but 2 helis go down. And Imphenzia is pushing into the entrenchment, and that might cost him dearly. I do understand why, because he really did not want AK down here. But it's a risky push. And all of these helis will really do some work for AK. And he puts down another factory and another barracks. He wants this island. And he knows that gaining control over that will surely help him win the game. Imphenzia is starting to work on the trades, which could give him the eco boost that he needs to push AK back here and maybe even make a push later on to regain control over this, because I think for now it's lost, and it also seems like he's actually retreating here. Putting down more eco. I guess he could do some sort of entrenchment here and just kind of like stay on the island at least. And then when he got these trades up and running, he can still get 3 and 4 trades up and running. And then when he got those, he can put down a bunch of producers and he can start to push back. AK is also building some eco down here. Imphenzia has a lot of money, but AK is still ahead eco wise. And Imphenzia is moving his helis here. I wonder if it's just for having some defense later on. AK is really building his industries, his eco right now. It's funny that he chooses to do it over here rather than his starting base, but I guess there's more units closer to these all the time, while these can be fairly vulnerable to any commando drops. Another town from Imphenzia. Could have waited a few seconds and put it down here instead. And he's doing his entrenchment all the way back here, which makes sense, because he doesn't have any reinforcements. And as soon as AK spots this, he can attack it with the helis. Everything Imphenzia has over here that he's building up is very vulnerable to all these helis. So even though it's looking good for Imphenzia eco-wise, or it will soon enough, I think, it's like his whole eco is also very vulnerable and can get destroyed rather quickly. Because AK will spot this town, I think, when he goes up here. Maybe? Let's see. He does spot this town now. And here comes the commander drop on the gas, which we expected would happen at some point. AK is also starting to gain control over here. And now that AKA has so much gas, he can just put down a submarine sub-pen and he can start to check for any trades. He could also put down a shipyard with missile boats, so he can still hunt down the towns while being able to defend himself against helis. But this push is looking very, very tough. I don't think Imphenzia's 5 units here will hold off. And these commandos just got to scout over here, so AK knows there's no SAMs, there's no anti-air at all. So these helis will attack over here in a minute, I think. So that's bye-bye one town and bye one gas at least. And he's building the gas as expected, so now gas is no longer an issue for AK. And here comes the helis. And AK Imphenzia is in a very tough spot now, because he will not be able to get his eco up and running in time, and he will not be able to defend it. And he's putting down another town here, which will provide 2 extra trades. And one here. But this is very, very vulnerable, and AK does spot it. So I could imagine that AK is going over here in just a minute. He even spots the gas as well. And Imphenzia puts down an extra gas. And when AK is done with this, I'm sure he will move his helis up here and start hitting the towns on the gas. Which will more or less ruin Imphenzia's economy, both gas-wise and capital-wise. Imphenzia is obviously gonna lose this as well. Puts down a rocket. And the rocket I get to see the range on, not the air. Oh, sorry. This is actually also a rocket from Imphenzia. So both put down a rocket basically at the same time. And here comes AK's attack, or preparation for the attack on the trades up north. Would be missile ships and cruisers and helis. And the helis are already targeting the gas. Because AK knows this is the only gas that Imphenzia has. And if he has a navy up here killing this gas, it will not be able to defend the trade. And Imphenzia has no way of stopping this force. He's just lucky that this choke is so small that the units can barely get through. So that's actually the bottleneck right now. And this is how desperate Imphenzia is for gas. And that's of course to actually be able to launch this rocket. But AK will realize that there's no anti-air at all. There's no defense. There's no opposing forces from Imphenzia. He can just pick out these gases, so he knows that he will easily be able to pick out or snipe these towns. Though Imphenzia is working on SAMs, but it won't be fast enough. It does have the third trade route up and running, and the fourth, but the fourth will go down before a single cargo ship will have transported any cargo. And I think this speaks about how Imphenzia might have kind of given up. These 3 units have just been standing there forever. It's not even moving the SAMs. Or maybe he's just too busy defending down here. He wants to at least launch the rocket. So he's building a depot. Down goes the town. Now Imphenzia's eco will cripple. And AK's eco is 500 ahead. And I could imagine that in a minute we'll see that AK is also putting down stuff here. Shipyard to fight this, but then again he's actually already on top of Imphenzia. He's going straight for that rocket. He can kill this town, which is connected to both. And Imphenzia is just losing eco now. And he loses the gas, he loses the rocket, he loses the game. So yeah, well played by both. I think Imphenzia, even though he's kind of behind here, he had the potential at one point, but he didn't invest enough in that West Island. Maybe if he had invested more in the Western Island, he would have got overrun at his main base. So I can't say for certain that it would have been a better choice, but that's my best guess right now. And maybe should have built a bit more eco from the start. Anyways, AK will move on. Once again, undefeated. So congratulations to AK. It will be very, very fun to see who he will match up against next, because now he will start to meet some really tough opponents who can hopefully challenge him even more than what we have seen so far. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hope you enjoyed the games. Imphenzia will move down into the losers bracket. I don't know who he will play against, but I'm sure it will be another fun match to watch. I actually think it would be El Mexican maybe. Anyways, we'll see. Thanks for watching, and I hope you join in for the next game as well. Good luck in the tournament if you participate, and otherwise just have fun with Line Wall. Bye.